Welcome to Ancient Relics Keeper. Uncover hidden histories, lost artifacts, and ancient mysteries. Join us as we explore the past secrets. Subscribe and dive into history's untold stories. High in the Bolivian Andes, scattered across a windswept plateau, lies Puma Punku. It is not a towering pyramid but a field of chaos, enormous stone blocks tossed about like a giant's puzzle. But look closer, and you'll see impossible precision in their cuts and angles. They seem machine-made, yet they were crafted by an ancient culture, forcing us to question everything we know about the past. High in the stark and breathless altitude of the Bolivian Andes, nearly 13,000 feet above sea level, lies a ruin that feels different from any other on Earth. This is not a majestic pyramid reaching for the sky or an ornate temple adorned with gold. This is Puma Punku, and at first glance, it appears as a scene of utter devastation. Enormous, finely carved stone blocks lie scattered across a windswept plateau, toppled and broken as if a monstrous, primordial force had torn the site apart and tossed its pieces aside like a child's discarded toys. But as you draw closer, the sense of chaos gives way to a feeling of profound and unsettling wonder. The destruction cannot mask the unbelievable sophistication of what once stood here. The stones themselves, in their material and their form, present an anomaly so profound that they challenge the very foundations of what we believe was possible for the ancient world. They are a quiet, powerful testament to a level of engineering that, according to our history books, simply should not exist. The first and most fundamental mystery of Puma Punku lies in the very substance of its ruins, the stone. The builders of this site chose to work with some of the most difficult and unforgiving materials found on our planet. The majority of the blocks are made of red sandstone, a hard enough material in its own right. But the most intricate and famous carvings, the ones that truly defy explanation, were crafted from gray andesite and diorite. To understand the significance of this choice, we have to understand the nature of this rock. On the Mohs scale, which measures mineral hardness from 1 to 10, diamond is a perfect 10, the hardest natural substance known. Diorite and andesite register at a 6 or 7 on that same scale. This makes them incredibly dense and durable rock, notoriously difficult to cut, shape, and work with even today. Modern stonemasons would require high-powered, diamond-tip saws, precision grinders, and laser-guided drills to achieve the kind of results we see at Puma Punku. Yet, mainstream archaeology tells us that the Tiwanaku culture, the civilization credited with building Puma Punku sometime between 500 and 1000 AD, possessed a far simpler toolkit. Their known technology consisted of stone hammers, perhaps some rudimentary bronze chisels, and wood and leather implements. And this is where the paradox begins. We are asked to believe that a civilization with Stone Age and early Bronze Age tools managed to quarry, transport, and carve one of the hardest types of rock on Earth with a level of precision that seems to belong to the modern industrial era. The surfaces of these andesite blocks are not rough or uneven. Many are polished to a glassy, almost mirror-like smoothness. The cuts are not jagged or wavering. They are perfectly straight lines that run for feet without the slightest deviation. They look and feel as though they were sliced by a machine. The anomaly deepens when you examine the angles and interior corners of these stones. We find right angles so perfect that you can place a carpenter's square against them and not see a sliver of light. We find complex interior corners, cut deep into the solid rock, that are flawlessly executed. Achieving such precision on a soft material like wood or limestone would be impressive enough. But to achieve it on andesite or diorite, using only primitive tools, verges on the impossible. The conventional explanation is that the builders used a painstaking process of pounding the stone with harder river cobbles, slowly chipping away at the surface, and then using sand and water as an abrasive to grind the surfaces smooth over immense periods of time. While this might explain how a flat surface could be created, it struggles to account for the razor-sharp, perfectly straight lines and the complex, multi-angled interior cuts. It would be like trying to carve a computer motherboard out of granite using only a hammer and a file. The sheer skill, patience, and time required would be monumental, and even then, It's difficult to see how such flawless results could be achieved. The stones of Puma Punku don't just whisper of advanced craftsmanship, they scream of a technology that seems utterly out of place in its time. As baffling as the material and the precision of the cuts are, the mystery of Puma Punku only truly unfolds when you step back and look at the engineering and design of the stones themselves. This was not simply a collection of well-cut blocks stacked to make walls. This was something far more sophisticated, something that speaks of a masterful and enigmatic understanding of engineering and design. The site is a jigsaw puzzle of chaos now, but the pieces themselves hint at an original structure of breathtaking complexity. The most famous and perplexing examples of this are the legendary H-blocks. Scattered across the site are dozens of these stones, all carved into a complex H shape. What is so astounding about them is their uniformity. They appear to be standardized, almost mass-produced, as if they were all created from a single master template. They are interlocking pieces, designed to fit together with other blocks in a complex, three-dimensional arrangement. They are, for all intents and purposes, giant Lego pieces, prefabricated components of a much larger, modular structure. This concept of prefabrication and standardized, interlocking parts is a hallmark of modern industrial construction. To find it in a ruin that is over 1,000 years old is, to put it mildly, anachronistic. The precision of these H-blocks is mind-boggling. The grooves and channels cut into them are uniform, and the angles are consistent from one block to the next. They were clearly designed to slot together perfectly, creating a structure that was both strong and stable, held together by its own geometry rather than mortar. This level of planning suggests that the builders of Puma Punku weren't just skilled stonemasons. They were master engineers who designed their structure with an incredible degree of foresight and mathematical precision. They didn't just build a wall, they designed a system. Who were these ancient architects who conceived of such a modern construction method? What kind of structure required such a complex and robust design? The engineering mystery extends beyond the H-blocks. Many of the other stones at Puma Punku are riddled with strange and intricate features that defy easy explanation. We find series of small, perfectly uniform drill holes, some no wider than a pencil, that penetrate deep into the hard andesite. How were these created? A simple bronze or stone drill bit would likely wear down or break under the strain. Some have suggested that a hollow tube, perhaps made of bamboo, was used with sand and water to slowly grind a hole into the rock. But this process would struggle to create the perfectly cylindrical and uniform holes we see, especially in a series where the spacing is so regular. It looks like the work of a high-speed power drill. Even more curious are the small, T-shaped grooves that have been cut into the sides of many of the massive blocks. These grooves were clearly designed to hold something. The prevailing theory is that they were used for metal clamps. The builders would pour molten metallo-bronze alloy of copper, nickel, and arsenic into these grooves, linking two massive blocks together. This in itself is a sophisticated engineering technique, a way of stapling the stones together to create a structure that could withstand the seismic activity common in the Andes. But it also presents another layer of mystery. It means the Tiwanaku people not only had mastery over stonework, but also possessed a portable metallurgy technology. They would have needed to build mobile furnaces capable of reaching extremely high temperatures to melt the metal alloy on-site at this high altitude, where the boiling point of water is lower and fires are harder to maintain. And finally, there is the sheer, overwhelming logistical challenge of Puma Punku. This incredible feat of engineering was accomplished at an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet, where the air is thin and human energy is quickly depleted. The massive sandstone blocks, some weighing over 130 tons, that's the weight of nearly 100 cars, were quarried from a site about 6 miles away. The even harder and more intricately carved andesite blocks were brought from a quarry site on the shores of Lake Titicaca, over 50 miles away. How did they transport these monumental stones across such distances and up to this high-altitude plateau? The official explanation suggests a massive labor force using ropes, ramps, and logs to slowly drag the stones. But the terrain is uneven, and the idea of rolling 100-ton blocks on logs in the thin mountain air seems almost superhuman. There is also no evidence of a large, deforested area that would have been necessary to provide the thousands of logs required for such an operation. The puzzle of Puma Punku is not a single question, but a cascade of them. How did a supposedly primitive culture cut and shape one of the hardest stones on Earth with machine-like precision? How did they conceive of and execute a complex, modular design using standardized, interlocking parts? How did they drill fine, uniform holes and employ advanced metallurgical techniques? And how did they transport stones weighing hundreds of tons across miles of difficult, high-altitude terrain? Each stone at Puma Punku is a question mark. Each cut, each angle, and each drill hole is a challenge to our conventional understanding of the past. It's an anomaly in the Andes that quietly and powerfully suggests that the story of our ancient ancestors may be far more complex and far more advanced than we have ever been led to believe. When confronted with the impossible precision and monumental engineering of Puma Punku, our conventional explanations begin to feel inadequate. The idea of men with stone hammers and bronze chisels patiently chipping away at super-hard andesite for decades to create a single, flawless H-block seems to stretch the limits of credibility. The sheer scale of the anomaly forces us to look beyond the standard historical narrative and consider more extraordinary possibilities. If the tools of the time don't match the results we see in the stone, then perhaps we are missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. This is where the story of Puma Punku leaves the realm of mainstream archaeology and enters a world of fascinating and controversial alternative theories. These theories suggest that the builders of Puma Punku were not primitive at all, but were instead masters of a powerful, forgotten science, or perhaps they had help from a source that was not of this world. The first major alternative theory proposes that the solution to the mystery lies not in a lost civilization's ability to cut stone, but in their ability to create it. This is the theory of advanced ancient concrete, or geopolymers. It suggests that the builders of Puma Punku did not carve these impossibly complex blocks from solid rock at all. Instead, they had a lost chemical formula, a sophisticated understanding of geology and chemistry that allowed them to break down the native rock into a slurry or a paste. They would then pour this liquefied stone into intricately designed molds, much like we pour modern concrete today. As the mixture hardened, it would form a new, man-made stonia geopolymer that was just as hard and durable as the original rock, but perfectly shaped to their design. This single idea, if true, would solve many of Puma Punku's greatest riddles in one stroke. The glassy, smooth surfaces? They would be the natural result of a fine-grained mixture setting against a smooth mold. The perfect right angles and complex interior corners? They would be perfectly formed by the shape of the mold, requiring no impossible carving. The standardized, identical H-blocks? They could be mass-produced with ease by reusing the same master mold over and over again. This theory transforms the builders of Puma Punku from superhuman stonemasons into brilliant chemical engineers. It suggests a level of scientific knowledge that is completely absent from our historical records of the Tiwanaku culture. Evidence for this theory is debated, but proponents point to several key observations. Microscopic analysis of some of the stones has revealed the presence of organic binders and air bubbles not typically found in natural rock, suggesting a man-made origin. The chemical composition of the stones sometimes appears more homogeneous than the surrounding natural geology, hinting that the material was processed and mixed. The concept itself is not entirely without precedent. The Romans were masters of a form of concrete that has proven far more durable than our modern equivalent. Is it so impossible to believe that another ancient culture, halfway across the world, developed their own, even more sophisticated version? If the people of Puma Punku knew how to soften or liquefy stone, it would represent a lost technology of incredible power, a scientific secret that vanished when their civilization collapsed, leaving behind only the silent, perfect evidence of their mastery. But what if the stones were cut from solid rock? This leads to another branch of the lost technology theory, one that focuses not on chemistry but on physics. This theory proposes that the builders possessed advanced tools that we are only just beginning to rediscover or understand. One of the most intriguing possibilities is the use of sonic or vibrational technology. The idea is that the ancients understood the principles of frequency and resonance. They could have created a device that generated a specific sonic frequency, causing the crystalline structure of the andesite or diorite to vibrate intensely. This vibration could have dramatically softened the stone or even shattered it along a precise line, allowing it to be cut and shaped with incredible ease. This might sound like science fiction, but the principles are grounded in modern physics. We use ultrasonic frequencies today for everything from medical imaging to industrial cleaning. Legends from the region itself speak of ancient priests who could move massive stones with the power of sound, using trumpets or other instruments to levitate the blocks into place. Could these be garbled folk memories of a real, forgotten technology? A sonic drill would explain the perfectly uniform, small-bore holes found at the site. A high-frequency cutting tool could explain the razor-sharp, straight lines. It would be a technology that left no trace, other than the impossible results it produced. The tools themselves, perhaps made of perishable materials or carefully guarded by a priestly class, would have long since vanished, leaving us to stare at their handiwork in bewilderment. These theories of lost technology, whether chemical or physical, keep the incredible achievement of Puma Punku within the realm of human potential. They suggest a lost golden age of knowledge, a time when our ancestors were far more advanced than we give them credit for. But for some, even these explanations feel insufficient. The precision, the scale, and the sheer alien aesthetic of the site lead them to a far more radical conclusion. The architects of Puma Punku were not human at all. This is the extraterrestrial architect theory, an idea that takes the ancient astronaut hypothesis and applies it with stunning force to the ruins of Puma Punku. This theory posits that the knowledge to build Puma Punku did not come from a forgotten human science, but was imported from an off-world source. The machine-like quality of the stones, the mathematical perfection of the H-blocks, and the sheer complexity of the design are seen as the unmistakable hallmarks of a non-human, technologically superior intelligence. In this view, humans may have provided the labor, but the design and the tools were alien. Puma Punku was not a human temple in the traditional sense. It was a project directed by extraterrestrial visitors for their own mysterious purposes. Proponents of this theory ask us to look at the site not with the eyes of an archaeologist, but with the eyes of an engineer from a futuristic civilization. What would such a being build? They might build a landing platform, and the vast, flat pavement of Puma Punku certainly fits that description. They might build a power generator, a processing plant, or a complex piece of machinery, and the interlocking, modular design of the H-blocks feels more like a component of a giant engine than a wall of a temple. The site, in this interpretation, ceases to be a ruin and becomes a piece of derelict alien technology, its original function lost to time after its creators departed. The extraterrestrial theory gains fuel from the context of the region. The Andes have long been a hotspot for UFO sightings and strange phenomena. Local legends are filled with stories of sky gods who descended from the heavens. Could the god Viracocha, the great creator deity of the Andes who is said to have built the ancient cities before walking away across the water, have been an extraterrestrial visitor? Was Puma Punku his base of operations, a place where he used his advanced technology to shape the world and teach humanity? The theory suggests that the answer is written in the stones themselves. The precision is not the result of human patience, but of alien laser-cutting technology. The logistics of moving the stones were not a problem because the visitors possessed advanced levitation or anti-gravity devices. The entire site is an alien footprint left behind on a remote mountaintop. Whether you lean towards a lost human science or an otherworldly intelligence, these theories all spring from the same source, a deep dissatisfaction with the conventional explanation. The ruins of Puma Punku present us with a profound cognitive dissonance. What we see with our own eyes, the precision, the engineering, the sheer artistry, does not align with what we have been told about the people who supposedly built it. It forces us to choose between two incredible ideas. Either our ancient ancestors were capable of a level of scientific and engineering prowess that has been completely written out of history, or they were in contact with a non-human intelligence that helped shape their world. Both possibilities are staggering. Both would fundamentally change our understanding of the human story. The stones of Puma Punku remain silent, offering no easy answers. They are a field of broken promises and shattered history, leaving us to wonder whether their creators were forgotten geniuses of our own species or visitors from a world beyond our own. The ruins of Puma Punku stand as a silent testament to a level of craftsmanship that remains unexplained. While archaeologists search for answers in human ingenuity, the stones themselves seem to whisper of a lost technology or an otherworldly influence. Puma Punku's true builders remain a mystery, leaving behind a profound puzzle that challenges the very foundations of our history. Thanks for exploring with Ancient Relics Keeper. What mystery should we unravel next? Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Let's keep digging into history's secrets together.